The township of Gothenburg, Nebraska is your quintessential small-town America, boasting a population of a little over 3,000 back in 1987. 3 years earlier in 1984, 19-year-old Christi Stanley married a man named Myuu Nichols, and within 3 years, the marriage produced 2 children, Lindsay and Preston. But there was trouble brewing on the horizon for young Christi. You see, rumors swirled around Gothenburg that the Nichols had a tumultuous marriage, fraught with frequent arguments, and many even suspected that Christi might have been cheating on her husband. 10 days before she vanished, Christi was treated at a local clinic for a severe injury to her thumb, which occurred during an argument with Myuu in which he claims that she was the aggressor. Her injured thumb was an accidental result of him pushing her onto the bed. Later, Myuu would also allege that most of the fights that erupted between the two were the result of his wife flying off the handle and him having to restrain her. However, most have been dubious of this claim. The physician that oversaw Christi for her injured thumb, one Dr. Carol Shackleton, commented that on the night of her visit, Christi seemed to be frightened of her husband, only speaking in hushed whispers as to not cause a potential scene. Dr. Shackleton also comments that it's her belief that Christi was not telling her the whole story of how she received her injury, which made the doctor suspicious. Soon, more allegations of abuse arose as Christi's cousin Deborah Fredrickson recounted how her cousin would speak often of how Myuu had a violent temper towards his wife. Fearing for Christi's safety, Deborah pleads with her to seek help, either through counseling or even police intervention. Things seemed to reach a boiling point 2 days before Christi disappeared. The young mother started divorce proceedings with a local attorney, one Claude Berkman, and he commented that the story his client told him of the abuse happening in the Nichols home concerned him so much that he himself filed several police reports in order to get Christi and her children out of Myuu's reach. Berkman maintains that he was 100% certain that what Christi had told him was the truth about her marital situation. Christi's mother, Connie Stanley, believes that her daughter intended to fight for custody of her children, while Myuu, on the other hand, contends that his wife was planning to run away and start a new life after she left Berkman's office. The last day Christi is seen by anybody was on an afternoon spent Christmas shopping with Myuu and her 2 kids. Later on that night, the couple made plans to have a date night spent at the bar where Christi worked. According to Myuu, the night went well, with both Christi and Myuu opening up to each other in a way that they hadn't done in years. Witnesses agree that Myuu and his wife left the bar at approximately 12:30 a.m., and according to acquired receipts, the couple then dropped by an all-night convenience store. The babysitter they had hired, one Diane Jansen, told police that she remembers the Nichols car pulling up to the house at around 1 a.m., but curiously, she never actually saw Christi. The next thing she remembers is Myuu entering in the front door and paying her in cash, which in and of itself was unusual, as Christi was always the one to pay her, and with a check no less. When Diane questioned Myuu as to where his wife was, he claimed that Christi had already entered the house and gone upstairs. However, this is disputed by Diane, as she says that she would have heard Christi come in, which she never did. Myuu says that Christi was often quiet when entering the house, and the reason she didn't pay Diane that night was because she had had a little too much to drink and just wanted to go to bed. Myuu maintains that the very last time he saw his wife was around 2 in the morning, when he himself went to sleep. Myuu then told police that when he woke up the next morning, his wife was nowhere to be found. According to him, the suitcase and some of Christi's belongings were also missing from the house. However, both family cars were still parked in the driveway. At 11:30 that morning, Myuu dropped off his children at their grandmother's house. The reason for this, again according to him, is because he planned to go out and search for his wife. When cross-checked by police, Myuu's story about driving around Gothenburg looking for Christi could not be corroborated by a single person. At 1:30 p.m. that very same day, Myuu filed an official missing persons report. In an act that raised quite a few eyebrows, Myuu took his 2 children and moved out of the family home just 1 day after his wife's disappearance, and sold both of the family vehicles. 3 months after Christi Nichols vanished, her missing suitcase was found near a roadside rest area 30 miles west of Gothenburg. Police also found it extremely suspicious that Myuu could precisely detail everything that was placed inside, including all of Christi's clothes, wallet, and personal items. When further processing the house, police found an unusual blood stain in the bedroom, and more blood was found in the trunk of Mark's recovered vehicle. Despite this, authorities say it is not enough to conclusively say that the blood resulted from foul play. The blood was tested, however, and came back indeed as belonging to Christi Nichols. Yet despite all the evidence collected, the case has sat cold for some 36 years. No other trace of Christi Nichols has ever been found. Despite extensive ground searches in and around Gothenburg, detectives have come up empty. 3 years after Christi vanished, Mark formally divorced her in absentia and has moved to Arkansas, where he still lives to this day. Christi's 2 children, Lindsay and Preston, have struggled the almost 40 years their mother has been missing, all the while questioning whether their own father had anything to do with her disappearance.